just want to share with you how sophisticated these Freemason cults can actually be. If they can't pull one over on you, if they can't lower your spirit, your relationship with God, if they can't get you to erupt or get in an argument with anyone, or sin because they know that you don't behave that way, then they will try to shut you down in another way. Now, I couldn't figure out how I was getting sick because I knew I was physically getting sick, but I knew that nobody was actually harming me, as in nobody was breaking into my sleeping room. Nobody was actually breaking in and harming me in that way. And I didn't really believe in RFID or anything like that, but I knew that somebody was harming me because for 11 years I've been really sick, physically sick, and I've been liaising with different experts. There was one point they even thought I had a brain tumour, and then God healed me from it, and that was a big testimony. There was another time they operated and took out the cysts. They couldn't pinpoint what it was, and when I asked them if it was cancer, they said no. So I was taking parasitics because I thought that I had neurocystic psychosis, and they just weren't diagnosing me. So I was being treated privately because I was convinced that I had it, and every now and then I was begging my doctor for a scan to check how it looked, Well, recently I had a scan, and the expert did mention about an infection in the scan. So I thought, right, this is outright negligence, because you've been telling me for years I don't have it when I asked you, and now you're mentioning it as if it was past tense. And I even wrote to the legal department of the hospital and asked to see my images, and you can clearly see that there is something living in the images. But when I went to a tropical illness expert, she told me it wasn't neurocystic psychosis, it was a pseudonoma, which was a different kind of infection. So it wasn't a tapeworm. And I was trying to figure out what it was, because I was buying antiparasitics, which are actually quite easy to buy, and I felt like that was only part of the problem. And then I was also, my GP was prescribing cephalexin, which was really hitting it between the eyes. But I was I was having to alternate the different treatments to get the best effect. But what I couldn't understand was how come it kept coming back if it was really a tapeworm, because with tapeworm, once you treat it, you just kill it and it doesn't come back. So I couldn't understand why I kept getting ill again over and over again. And I noticed that the landlord's contractors were really hanging around my property a lot. And there was one occasion when normally I just didn't notice it because I thought they were actually treating other people's houses. But there was one occasion they were literally parked outside my house. When I inquired what they were doing there, because they weren't knocking on anyone's door, they were just waiting for me to go out, and then they didn't knock on anyone's door. So there's a bit of a question mark about what they were doing outside for no reason. Nobody could answer it. And I also noticed that even though I keep my kitchen scrupulously clean, every now and then there are slugs that come out of the plug hole, and I have to immediately discard of it, take it outside and I quite often pour down the drain unblocker down it to like get rid of it. But I was wondering how come they got into the plug hole in the first place. Slugs don't normally live in plug holes, but I noticed there are quite a few of them hanging around the property. So I finally realised that the illness is in the water. So I wondered if I had an